Have you ever had that feeling like you're living life on some kind of default setting? Like a lot of your day-to-day stuff, your big beliefs, maybe even major decisions, they don't feel truly yours. Maybe more inherited or just sort of automatically installed.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, like autopilot.
Exactly. Well, what if you could actually step off that autopilot? What if you could fundamentally reshape your reality and really design a life that, reflects what you truly want?
That's a pretty compelling idea.
It is, right. And today we're taking a deep dive into an extraordinary framework for doing just that. It's Vishen Lakhiani's book, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind.
Ah, yeah, a fascinating read.
It really is. And it's not just a book, is it? It feels more like a manual for personal disruption. It gives you these powerful tools for cognitive change. And honestly, it sparks this kind of awakening that once you see it, you can't really unsee it.
Right. It changes how you look at things permanently almost.
Our mission today, then, is to give you a real shortcut to understanding Lakhiani's whole approach to personal transformation. We're going to dig into how you can spot and dismantle those limiting beliefs he talks about.
The Brules.
The Brules, exactly. And how to consciously engineer new, empowering systems for living, find genuine happiness right now in the present, and ultimately, how to maybe embark on a personal quest that leaves a meaningful mark.
So it's about moving from default to design.
Precisely. You'll get actionable insights pulled from Lakhiani's own quite remarkable journey, his surprising interactions with people like Richard Branson and Elon Musk.
Yeah, the stories are great.
And some really compelling research, all distilled so you can hopefully apply it straight away. Okay, so our journey into crafting this extraordinary life, it really starts with understanding these unseen forces that are constantly shaping us. And Lakhiani introduces this foundational concept he calls the culturescape.
Right, the culturescape. It's such a powerful idea because it basically says that a lot of what we think of as truth isn't absolute truth, like gravity or something. It's relative.
Relative how?
Well, think of it as this huge, like invisible landscape made up of all the human ideas, cultures, myths, beliefs, and practices that we're just born into. It's the soup we swim in.
Okay.
These aren't laws of nature. They're mental constructs.
Yeah.
Agreements, really, that we've all sort of collectively chosen to believe in.
And once you start looking for it, you see it everywhere, don't you? Like, take laws. A law isn't a physical thing you can hold.
Nope. It's an agreement. A shared understanding within a group could be a community, a nation. But these abstract agreements let millions of people live together, often pretty efficiently.
Okay, yeah.
Or think about marriage. The idea exists pretty much everywhere. But what it actually means, the practices, the expectations, totally different depending on the culture. Same with retirement, this idea that you suddenly stop working and change your whole life at a certain age. Or even national borders, they're just lines on a map, right? Subjective. But billions feel intense loyalty to them. These are all man-made constructs, part of the culturescape.
So why should you, listening right now, care about this? Lakhiani's point is that these constructs, while they can be convenient for navigating a complex world,
And they often are.
they're often just accepted without a second thought. We just go along with them even if, as he puts it, they're way past their expiration dates and aren't really serving us anymore.
Right. We don't question the defaults.
And that leads us right into his next big concept, Brules, which is a great word, right?
Yeah, bad rules, sticks.
It does. And these Brules are those limiting beliefs or rules often installed by that default culturescape that just silently hold us back. They're not physics, they're not actual lies you get arrested for breaking.
No, they're the societal shoulds, the whispers in your head about how you think you ought to live or look or feel.
And to really get the impact of these Brules, Lakhiani points to some pretty sobering data. Like one report he cites found that 8 out of 10 Americans are in debt.
8 out of 10, that's huge.
And then there's the CDC stat. Over a third of U.S. adults are obese. These aren't just numbers. They're signs that a lot of our collective systems and the beliefs behind them, they just aren't working for a massive number of people.
It's evidence that following the standard path, the shoulds, doesn't automatically lead to a good outcome. Far from it sometimes.
And often it boils down to these unexamined shoulds. He lists so many common ones. I should take this job even if I hate it. I should marry this type of person. I should go to this specific college. This is how I should look. This is how I should feel. They're insidious because they feel like our own thoughts, but often they're just echoes from the culturescape.
Now, it's important to clarify here, right? Lakhiani isn't saying we should just ignore reality. No, not at all. Sometimes life does mean you have to take a job you don't love to pay the bills or live somewhere less than ideal for practical reasons. That's just necessity.
So what's the difference?
The key difference is between consciously bending to life's necessities versus blindly accepting a prepackaged rule as the only way. An extraordinary mind, he says, makes conscious choices. Outside of, gravity and actual laws, pretty much every other rule is up for grabs. You get to decide which ones you follow.
Okay, so we'll explore how these unquestioned rules might be quietly messing with your relationships, your career, your goals, even your spiritual side, often completely under the radar.
So where do they actually come from, these rules? Lakhiani explains that our brains, especially when we're kids, are incredibly malleable, like sponges.
Right. Before age 9 or so, you're just soaking it all in.
Exactly. You're absorbing beliefs that literally shape your reality. And think about how often a kid asks why. And the Darth answer is,
because I said so. Or, that's just how it is.
or maybe God wanted it that way. Simple answers, maybe well-intentioned, but they can trap kids in this web of unquestioned rules. Brules.
He calls the brain a meaning-making machine, right? Always trying to make sense of things.
Yes, constantly interpreting events and forming beliefs, often totally unconsciously, especially when we're young. And authority figures, parents, teachers, relatives, clergy, even friends, they become powerful installers of these rules.
Some good rules, hopefully.
Sure, some impart real wisdom, like the Golden Rule. But others, maybe with the best intentions, but based on their own limited beliefs or rules, pass them down. Sometimes through genuine belief, sometimes maybe even manipulation. A kid's mind just accepts what's presented as truth.
And this doesn't just stop in childhood, does it?
No way. It plays out on a massive scale in society. Dr. Paul Marsden talks about the hive mind. We often default to what the collective is doing rather than thinking, is this actually right for me?
So we just follow the crowd.
Often, yes. Dr. Marsden even says we inherit behaviors, emotions, beliefs, even religion through contagion, not necessarily through rational, independent thought.
Wow, contagion. That's a strong word.
It is. And Tim Urban, from the blog Wait But Why, calls it blind tribalism. Our need to belong is so fundamental, so deep, that we'll sometimes adopt completely illogical beliefs, even things that fly in the face of facts or science, just to stay part of the group.
Loyalty to the tribe over truth.
Pretty much. The conviction comes from faith in the group, not necessarily verifiable data.
So what's the takeaway here for you listening? While not all the stuff we inherit is bad, knowing how to build a fire or do CPR is obviously good.
Useful skills.
A lot of it is just outdated, or maybe it was never true in the first place. And in today's world, with change happening so fast, exponentially fast, blindly following the herd is probably a path away from being extraordinary. It's more like a shortcut to mediocrity.
Yeah, the old maps don't work in the new territory.
So Lakhiani really hammers this home. The path to an extraordinary life starts with questioning. Questioning these accepted rules of the culturescape. Taking your life off that autopilot.
There's a great quote he includes from Peter Diamandis, the X-Prize founder. It's very direct. If you can't win, change the rules. If you can't change the rules, ignore them.
That's pretty bold.
It captures that spirit, doesn't it? The willingness to challenge the status quo, even when it feels like you're swimming upstream.
And the impact of doing this, it's more than just thinking differently, right?
Absolutely. This willingness to question the culturescape, it's the common thread you see in so many extraordinary people throughout history.
Yeah.
Think about J.K. Rowling or the Beatles or Elon Musk.
Yeah, they definitely didn't follow the standard path.
Exactly. They were seen as misfits, outsiders, maybe even troublemakers at first, precisely because they dared to question the norms, the established rules. But their refusal to just conform led to breakthroughs, to innovations, to completely new ways of doing things that have genuinely shifted our future.
They made a dent, as he says.
A dent in the culturescape. They went from being misfits to being called visionaries.
And this isn't just for famous people, is it? The point is that you have that same power.
Absolutely. You can step out of the culturescape too. So maybe just take a moment as you're listening and think, what stands out in your life that feels like an unexamined rule? Something you just accept because, well, that's just the way things are done.
Finding that one thing, that could be the first step.
That's the starting point.
Now, these ideas from Lakhiani, they aren't just abstract theories he cooked up. They're really deeply connected to his own personal story, his own transformation.
Yeah.
He wasn't born enlightened.
Not at all. His early life sounds pretty relatable, actually. Growing up in Malaysia, dealing with serious self-esteem issues, almost flunking out of university in the U.S., he's very open about not having any special advantages starting out.
Which makes his journey more compelling, I think.
Definitely. And he gives this great example of following a Brule himself. At 19, he chose computer engineering. Why? Because it was seen as a good career, the sensible choice, according to society.
But not his passion.
Right. He realized later he had zero passion for it. But that choice led to years of feeling miserable, and eventually even landing this supposedly amazing internship at Microsoft, working at Bill Gates' house back in '98. Should have been a dream come true.
But it wasn't.
Inside, he knew it wasn't right. And he actually quit. Felt like he'd blown a huge opportunity. Classic Brule territory, following the external should instead of the internal pull.
And quitting wasn't like an instant fix, right? Things got worse before they got better.
Oh, yeah. He talks about struggling for years after that, limping through college, getting fired twice, losing 2 businesses, being totally broke multiple times, couch surfing in Silicon Valley after the dot-com crash. These were what he calls the unfortunate dips.
Unfortunate dips. I like that.
But here's the powerful part. Those very dips were the setup for huge changes. Like being broke in New York led directly to him meeting Christina, who became his wife. He tells this funny story about rigging up a pink shower curtain in his tiny shared apartment for privacy when she visited.
Resourceful.
Exactly. So this series of challenges wasn't the end. It actually resulted in a sharp, booming spike, meeting his wife, having kids. He started to see that beauty and really crucial lessons were hidden inside those tough times.
And that changed his perspective on hardship itself.
Completely. He realized the culturescape, with all its Brules, is often designed to keep us safe, predictable. But he started arguing that safety is maybe overrated. Those dips, those challenges we instinctively avoid, they often hold the best learning, the most growth.
It reminds me of the Elon Musk story he tells.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one. He met Musk at SpaceX and asked him, basically, what's your essence? If we could blend you up, what's the core ingredient?
And Musk's answer?
Simple. I have a high tolerance for pain. Think about that. Coming from someone pushing the absolute boundaries of human achievement, it really highlights that growth often happens way outside the comfort zone.
And Musk has had his share of massive dips. Lakhiani mentions 2008.
Right. SpaceX's first 3 rockets had blown up. One more failure, and they were done. Tesla was running out of money. Musk was borrowing cash just to pay rent. Insane pressure.
But his tolerance for pain saw him through.
Exactly. He persevered. And Lakhiani learned to apply this to his own life. Instead of dreading the dips, he started welcoming them with, as he calls it, inner delight.
Inner delight. During tough times.
Yes, seeing them as opportunities. What can I learn here? How will this make me stronger? That shift from resistance to curiosity completely changed his experience, boosted his quality of life.
And this whole idea crystallizes into his first big principle, Law 1, transcend the culturescape.
Right. Extraordinary minds, he says, get good at seeing the culturescape for what it is, this collection of relative truths. They become selective. They consciously choose which rules to follow, which to question, which to just ignore.
They take the path less traveled.
Not just to be rebellious, but because they're driven by innovation and living authentically.
And again, this isn't just for the famous names. It's about your ability to do this.
Absolutely. He points out how people like Rowling or the Beatles or Musk, they were misfits first. They broke the rules. And then they made that dent in the culturescape and became visionaries.
So the invitation for you listening is to think, what rules are you following without question? What societal shoulds might be holding you back from your own extraordinary path? Just recognizing them is the start of transcendence.
It's putting yourself back in the driver's seat.
Okay, so we understand the invisible forces, the culturescape, the Brules. Now, how do we actually start rewriting our reality? This is where Lakhiani introduces this really cool concept he calls consciousness engineering. It sounds technical, but it's about upgrading your mind's operating system.
Yeah, the computer analogy works really well here. He suggests thinking about your models of reality as the hardware of your mind.
Hardware, meaning?
Your fundamental beliefs.
Right.
Beliefs about yourself, about other people, about how the world basically works. That's the hardware.
Okay, and the software.
That's your systems for living. These are your daily habits, how you solve problems, how you manage relationships, how you learn, how you work all the practical processes you use to navigate life. Hardware is beliefs. Software is actions and habits.
Got it. And Lakhiani's own story really shows this in action. After struggling and being broke, he had this rapid success in software sales.
Right. And that wasn't just about sales techniques. It sparked this fascination in him. How does the human mind actually work? Could he decode it?
Using his background in computational thinking.
Exactly. He started wondering, could you crack the code for how we humans work? By breaking down our beliefs and behaviors into logical components, could you engineer consciousness?
And this led him to start Mind Valley.
Yeah, in 2003 with just $700. And over the next 12 years, with no bank loans, no VC funding, it grew into this major platform, 200 employees, 500,000 students. He attributes that success directly to applying this consciousness engineering approach, both personally and in the business.
Okay, so let's get into the core of this, the power of beliefs, the hardware.
This is where it gets really fascinating. Lakhiani talks about the famous Harvard hotel maid study. Remember that one?
Vaguely. Remind me.
Okay, so researchers took a group of hotel maids whose work is physically demanding, right? Pushing carts, scrubbing, cleaning. They simply told one group that their daily work actually met the Surgeon General's recommendations for exercise.
So they just planted a belief.
Exactly. They didn't change their work, didn't make them exercise more. They just installed a new belief. My work is good exercise. And the results were incredible.
What happened?
That group, just based on the belief, lost weight and showed measurable improvements in health markers like blood pressure. Their minds literally changed their physical bodies. Placebo effect in action.
Wow. Okay, that's powerful.
It really is. And it begs the question, if beliefs can do that physically, what else can they influence?
Good question.
He also brings up Robert Rosenthal's work on the Pygmalion effect, studies where researchers' expectations about lab rats actually influence how well the rats ran mazes.
Expectations influencing outcomes.
Even more striking, studies where teachers were falsely told that certain randomly chosen students had unusually high IQs. Those specific students ended up showing significantly better academic performance over the year.
Just because the teacher believed they were smarter.
Exactly. The teacher's expectation, fueled by that belief, became a self-fulfilling prophecy. It shows how powerfully our beliefs and the beliefs others hold about us can shape reality.
So, bringing this back to you listening, what does this mean? If beliefs can change your physical health or boost academic performance, imagine their power over your mood, your confidence, your happiness, your whole quality of life.
Right. Lakhiani uses the analogy of operating on outdated software. He says many of us are running on these old Macintosh models of reality, clinging to limiting beliefs from the past, and basically denying ourselves an upgrade to a much more powerful new iMac way of thinking.
We're stuck with old hardware because we don't realize we can upgrade it.
Precisely.
So how do we even begin to find these hidden, outdated models, these limiting beliefs? Lakhiani shows a really personal story about this. He was in a hot tub early in his journey, and this young monk just says to him bluntly,
Yeah, you have low self-esteem.
which, understandably, kind of annoyed him at first.
Right. But later, it made him reflect. He started noticing things, how he'd get really defensive in meetings, how easily he felt hurt or misunderstood by family, how much he craved external validation.
And he realized it wasn't about the situations themselves.
No. He concluded the root cause wasn't external. It was a deep, hidden, disempowering belief. I, by myself, was not enough.
That core model was coloring everything, his interactions, how he saw himself in the world.
And he traces these kinds of beliefs back to childhood, often.
Yes, he shares his own experiences. Growing up as a minority in Malaysia, getting teased gorilla boy, hook nose. Later, bad acne earned him pimple face, and thick glasses made him a nerd stereotype. All this stuff built up this feeling of being socially awkward, invisible to women, just not enough.
Painful stuff, definitely. But then he describes this one single conversation that completely shifted things. At a dance, a woman named Mary genuinely complimented his eyes. Just a simple, authentic comment.
And that changed everything.
Fundamentally, it shattered his old model of reality about his attractiveness. Nothing physical changed about him, just his internal belief. And that shift led to this huge turnaround in his dating life, eventually leading him to meet Christina, his wife. It's an amazing example of how upgrading one belief can unlock massive change.
One belief upgrade leading to a whole new reality.
Exactly.
His quest to understand these beliefs took him even further. He sought out Marisa Peer, who's a really well-known hypnotherapist.
Right. And Peer has this powerful statement. She says, I am not enough. It's basically the biggest single ailment affecting humanity. It always starts in childhood.
That's a huge claim. The biggest ailment.
It is. But think about how pervasive that feeling can be. So Lakhiani did a hypnotherapy session with her, specifically exploring his own weird relationship with money.
What did he find?
He uncovered this really powerful, unconscious belief. To be a great teacher, you have to suffer, which for him meant being broke. It was this hidden model silently running his financial reality, keeping him stuck.
Wow. To be a great teacher, you have to suffer. Where did that come from?
The session brought up specific childhood memories, like overhearing his parents worrying about money when he was maybe 9 or 10. That led to this subconscious rule: don't ask for too much because someone will get hurt if you do.
Okay, I can see that.
And then another one, getting harshly punished by a headmaster at 16, almost expelled just for forgetting his gym shorts. That installed another rule: do not stand out. It's not safe to stand out.
So these separate experiences created this limiting pattern around success and visibility.
Exactly. And the impact of actually identifying and starting to remove these hidden beliefs, he says it was massive. Doubled his income in 4 months, started getting invites for major speaking gigs, magazine covers, huge business growth.
Just from changing those underlying beliefs?
It shows how deeply these unconscious models can dictate our tangible results. They were holding back not just him, but his whole company's potential.
Which brings us to his third principle. Law 3, practice consciousness engineering.
Right. Extraordinary minds, he argues, understand that their growth, their quality of life, it all depends on 2 things. Their models of reality, the hardware, and their systems for living, the software.
And they don't just accept them.
No, they actively curate them. They seek out the most empowering models and systems, and then they frequently update themselves. Like upgrading your phone's OS, you get rid of the buggy old versions.
So it's about consciously choosing empowering beliefs.
Yes, he gives examples. Believing that human intuition is real and valuable. Believing in the power of mind-body healing. Believing that happiness at work is productivity, not just a bonus. Believing you can be spiritual without being religious. These are active choices, models you install.
They reshape your internal landscape, and then your external world follows.
That's the idea. So the challenge for you listening is to think about those 12 areas of balance. He mentions love, friendships, adventures, environment, health, intellect, skills, spiritual life, career, creativity, family, community. Where might your outdated Macintosh models still be running? Where are you due for an upgrade?
Finding those outdated beliefs is key.
It's the starting point for conscious engineering.
Okay, we've talked about upgrading the internal hardware, our beliefs, our models of reality. Now let's switch to the software, our systems for living. This is about the actions we take, right? The methods we use day to day.
Exactly. What do you actually do? And Elon Musk, again, has this great quote Lakhiani uses. It's very important to have a feedback loop where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better.
Constant improvement.
Yes. Musk says, constantly think about how you could be doing things better and questioning yourself. That's the core of upgrading systems. Models are beliefs, systems are actions and processes, and they need ongoing refinement based on feedback.
You can't just set it and forget it.
Nope. Continuous self-innovation.
Yeah.
Hashtag 4.2, Richard Branson's secret system, and the spark for the book.
Lakhiani shares another great story, this time involving Richard Branson on Necker Island. He was there for an event.
Right, a mastermind. And after some casual chat, Lakhiani just went for it and asked Branson straight up, what's the secret to your incredible success?
And Branson's built, what, $8 billion companies in 8 different industries?
Yeah, an insane track record. And his secret, it wasn't one thing. It boiled down to his relentless dedication to constantly upgrading his systems. The methods, the processes he uses for everything in life and business. He's always tweaking how he does things.
Always looking for a better way.
Exactly. And this interaction was huge for Lakhiani personally. He'd always admired Branson, especially his autobiography, Losing My Virginity, how it mixed stories and lessons. Lakhiani wanted to write something similar, but felt, not ready.
Imposter syndrome?
Maybe. But that night, after Lakhiani shared some of his own ideas with Branson, Branson just looked at him and said, you should write a book.
Direct encouragement from the man himself.
That was the push he needed. Even though it still took him 3 years to actually start writing, but that focus on systems, sparked by Branson, was a key catalyst for creating the Code of the Extraordinary Mind.
Wow. So the book itself came from applying these principles.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
Hashtag 4.3, the 3-step method for upgrading systems.
So how do we actually do this upgrading of our systems? Lakhiani lays out a really clear 3-step method. Step 1 is the discovery process.
Right. This is where you actively look for new systems, new methods, new approaches. Could be reading books, going to conferences, taking online courses, just observing people who are getting great results.
Like browsing an app store for life upgrade.
Exactly. Maybe researching a better way to strength train or a new project management technique, or like Lakhiani does, deliberately reading nonfiction across totally different fields to find fresh ideas. Keep your eyes open for better software.
Okay, discovery. Then step 2.
Implementation. You find something promising, you don't just think about it, you try it. You actually test it out in your life. Integrate it into your routine. Put the theory into practice.
Do a real-world trial.
Yes. And then step 3, which is crucial, measurement and assessment. After trying the new system for a while, maybe a month or two, you step back and objectively look at the results. Is it working? Is it actually improving things?
You need to know if the upgrade is actually better.
Precisely. This evaluation lets you decide. Keep it, ditch it, or tweak it further.
Discovery, implementation, measurement.
That cycle is what Lakhiani calls your refresh rate. How often are you consciously reviewing and updating your systems across those 12 areas of balance? It's not a one-off, it's an ongoing process of adapting and improving.
Like software updates for your life.
That's the perfect analogy.
Now, to make sure we don't slip back into old, less effective ways and to keep driving progress, Lakhiani introduces another tool, non-negotiable set points.
Right. These are personal standards you absolutely commit to, no matter what. They create a baseline to maintain in key areas.
Can you give an example?
He gives his own. He admits he enjoys his wine, whiskey, chocolate, cheese, but he's also committed to fitness, his non-negotiable set point. He has to be able to drop and do 50 push-ups, anytime, anywhere.
50 push-ups?
Yeah. If he can't do it maybe after a long flight or a period of indulgence, he knows something's off in his system. His health system needs adjusting. It's a clear, simple benchmark giving immediate feedback.
Okay, I see. It's a personal tripwire.
Exactly. And you can apply this anywhere. Maybe set points for adventure, 2 big family tricks a year, or exploring 1 new local spot every month. The point is to embed these priorities into your operating system, making growth non-negotiable.
Experiences over just stuff.
Or whatever's important to you. It ensures growth isn't just a wish, it's built in. And to really grasp why upgrading systems matters, Lakhiani uses this great historical example, the smell test.
The smell test.
Yeah. He says, imagine going back 150 years.
Yeah.
Most people, well, they probably stunk by today's standards. Daily showers, brushing teeth multiple times, deodorant. These weren't common systems back then.
Right. Hygiene standards have changed massively.
Exactly. Our current normal hygiene is the result of upgraded societal and personal systems. We learned, we evolved, we changed our collective software. It wasn't always this way.
That's a really vivid example.
And he extends this idea. Think about our modern society. We've somehow accepted stress, anxiety, fear as almost normal parts of daily life.
Yeah, it feels that way sometimes.
But these feelings, he argues, aren't meant to be constant states. They're alarm systems, signals that something needs attention, not conditions to just live with indefinitely. Our current, often unexamined systems can actually perpetuate these states instead of helping us move beyond them.
We need better systems for well-being.
Absolutely. Which leads us to Law 5. Upgrade your systems for living. Extraordinary minds, he says, consistently spend time discovering, upgrading, and measuring new systems for life, work, heart, soul. They're always in the state of growth, self-innovation, refining their approach.
So the question for you listening is, what's your current refresh rate across those 12 areas? When did you last consciously upgrade your approach to, say, your relationships, your health, how you learn, how you relax?
Where do you need to hit that refresh button? What new software could you explore installing to optimize your operating system for life? It's an invitation to be intentional about your own evolution.
Continuous improvement by design.
Exactly.
All right, we've covered upgrading the mind's hardware beliefs and software systems, but what about the actual experience of living? This is where Lakhiani introduces this wonderful term, blisscipline.
Blisscipline. Yeah, it's a great mashup, bliss and discipline.
Yeah.
It's all about finding that sweet spot, that dynamic balance between being genuinely happy now in the present moment and having a powerful, inspiring vision for the future.
Not one or the other, but both.
Both simultaneously. Hashtag 5.1, the bending reality sweet spot. He uses this really helpful model with 2 axes. One axis is happiness in the now. The other is vision for the future.
Okay.
This creates 4 quadrants. You've got the negative spiral, unhappy now, no future vision. There's just pain, depression. Then there's the current reality trap. Happy now, but no real vision for the future. That happiness tends to be fleeting, unfulfilling.
Living day to day, but not really going anywhere.
Kind of. Then there's the stress and anxiety quadrant.
Yeah.
Unhappy now, but you have a strong future vision.
Yeah.
This is the classic trap of postponing happiness. I'll be happy when I achieve X.
So many people live there.
Too many. But the ideal state, the goal, is the bending reality quadrant. This is where you are genuinely happy now and you hold a strong, compelling vision for the future.
Happy now, clear future.
That's the sweet spot. It signifies growth, enjoyment, and this feeling he describes where the universe just seems to have your back. Things flow.
And he learned this the hard way, right, about postponing happiness?
Well, yeah. Back in 2008, when Mind Valley was really struggling, he had this huge realization. He was running on empty, completely fueled by fear and anxiety, even though objectively he had a lot to be grateful for.
Just pushing through the stress.
Exactly. And the insight hit him hard. Stop postponing your happiness. Be happy now.
Well,
He made a conscious choice, a disciplined decision, to make fun and joy a non-negotiable part of his daily life, not something to wait for after hitting business goals.
he prioritized happiness during the struggle.
Yes. And the result was astonishing. By consciously embracing happiness, bringing joy into the process, Mind Valley's revenue grew 400% in just 8 months. They hit their first $1 million month that December.
Wow. So happiness wasn't the reward for success.
It was the fuel for it. A perfect example of blissipline in action. It bends reality. Hashtag tag PavTag 5.2. 2 types of happiness and hedonic adaptation.
Lakhiani also talks about 2 different kinds of happiness.
Right. First, there's what he calls happiness from experiences. This is the kind of bliss you get from external stuff. Travel, parties, sensory pleasures, like seeing Richard Branson dancing on a table, as he describes. It's fun, often intense.
But it fades.
Usually, yeah, it's often temporary. The second type is happiness from growth and awakening. This is rarer, he says, but much more enduring. It's the kind emphasized by spiritual traditions.
Where does that come from?
From reaching higher states of consciousness, from deep personal growth, from consistent spiritual practices like meditation. It's a deeper fulfillment that doesn't depend so much on external circumstances.
Okay, so experience-based versus growth-based happiness.
Exactly. But here's the tricky part of being human. Hedonic adaptation.
Ah, yes, the happiness treadmill.
Pretty much. Research shows we have this tendency to return to a baseline level of happiness after good things happen. And even after bad things happen, we adapt surprisingly quickly.
So even winning the lottery doesn't guarantee long-term happiness.
Studies suggest it often doesn't. We get used to the new reality, and our baseline happiness level kind of resets. That's why just chasing the next external high, the next experience, often doesn't lead to lasting fulfillment. We adapt too well.
So we need systems for cultivating that deeper growth-based happiness.
Precisely. Which leads to the blissipline systems.
So how do we cultivate this more enduring happiness, especially with hedonic adaptation working against us? The first blissipline system he emphasizes is gratitude. He uses this concept from Coach Dan Sullivan, the reverse gap.
Right. Most people, Sullivan says, live in the forward gap.
Mm-hmm.
They're always focused on the distance between where they are now and where they want to be.
The gap between current reality and future goals.
Yes. And that constant focus on what's missing often means you're perpetually postponing happiness until you close that gap. I'll be happy when.
Okay, so what's the reverse gap?
The reverse gap is about consciously looking back. Look at how far you've already come. What have you learned? What challenges have you overcome? Who helped you? What are you grateful for right now based on your journey so far?
Focusing on progress made, not distance remaining.
Exactly. Lakhiani stresses this is a much more powerful and reliable source of happiness than constantly striving for future goals that might always recede. It anchors you in appreciation now.
And there's science behind this, right?
Oh, yeah. Solid research. Emmons and McCullough found that people who simply wrote down 5 things they were thankful for each week showed a significant 25% increase in happiness. Plus, they exercised more, felt healthier, were more helpful to others.
Just from a simple gratitude list.
It's incredibly effective. Lakhiani himself does it daily, 5 personal gratitudes, 5 work gratitudes as part of his morning meditation. Simple, powerful shift in perspective.
Okay, gratitude is key. What else?
Well, he highlights 2 other core blissipline systems, the practice of forgiveness and the practice of giving.
Forgiveness seems crucial.
Hugely. He talks about an intense biofeedback program he did, 40 years of Zen, where scientists found that holding on to grudges and anger was the single biggest factor suppressing alpha brainwaves, those waves linked to calm, focus, and creativity. Forgiveness was literally essential for optimal brain function.
Wow.
And giving.
He quotes the Dalai Lama, "To be happy, make others happy." It ties into compassion, often cultivated through practices like loving-kindness meditation, where you consciously send feelings of goodwill outwards, starting with yourself and expanding.
Gratitude, forgiveness, giving.
These practices form the core of Law 6, live in blisscipline. Extraordinary minds master this discipline. They intentionally cultivate bliss through conscious practice, building internal contentment regardless of what's happening outside.
It's not passive, it's active cultivation. Exactly. He bundles these into his 6-phase meditation, which is a short daily practice, maybe 6 to 15 minutes. It integrates compassion, gratitude, forgiveness, visualizing future dreams, blessings, and planning a perfect day. So a powerful call to action for you listening is, what if you started your day intentionally cultivating these states? How might that shift your entire experience?
It's about training your happiness muscle.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, we've upgraded our mind, we're cultivating bliss. But what are we actually aiming for? What does this extraordinary future look like? This final part is about defining truly meaningful end goals and finding your unique quest.
Lakhiani really challenges traditional goal setting here. He talks about the career myth. This is a massive Brule, he says, that pressures us to map our whole lives onto this narrow idea of a career, often making us focus only on money or job titles.
The conventional path.
Right. And he quotes the philosopher Alan Watts, who put it so brilliantly. Forget the money. You will spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living. That is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid.
Powerful stuff. It makes you think.
It really does. And Lakhiani lived this, choosing computer engineering at 19 because it was the sensible career. Years of misery followed, getting fired from Microsoft. He realized he'd completely confused the means, the job, the title, with the end, actual happiness, fulfillment, meaning.
So what are end goals then, according to him?
End goals are, as he puts it, the beautiful, exciting rewards of being human. They're the things that speak directly to your soul. They bring you joy just for the experience itself, not for some external label or material gain.
It's about the experience, not the achievement badge.
Exactly. They're the things that create your best memories, the richness of life. He gives personal examples. Climbing Mount Kinabalu, his honeymoon in remote Svalbard. Yeah. The pure joy of watching his daughter dance, creating an amazing office space for his team. These are deeply personal, experience-focused goals.
Things that make life worth living, essentially.
That's it. Goals that align with your soul's calling.
So how do you figure out your end goals? He says true end goals always have a certain feeling about them. They excite you a lot, but they also maybe scare you just a little bit. They push your boundaries in a good way.
Right, stretching you. And he gives this fantastic framework to define them. The 3 most important questions. They guide you to set goals across 3 core categories. First, experiences. What do you truly want to experience in life? Think about love, friendships, adventures, your environment, family, community. What deep human experiences are you craving?
So not just, I want to travel, but maybe I want to experience deep connection with diverse cultures.
Exactly. Focus on the feeling, the essence of the experience. Second question, growth. How do you need to grow to have those experiences? What skills do you need? What knowledge? How do you need to develop intellectually, spiritually, creative?
Right, enables the experiences.
Precisely. And third, contribution. How do you want to contribute? How do you want to make a difference in the world, in your family, your community? What positive mark do you want to leave?
Experiences, growth, contribution, that's a powerful framework.
It really is. And Mind Valley actually uses this. New hires create what they call blueprints for the soul, mapping out their visions in these 3 columns.
That sounds amazing. Does it work?
He shares incredible stories. Amir from Sudan dreaming of being a speaker and author at 22, and by 26, having a book praised by major publications. Lumini de Savia writing a blog post that went massively viral, leading to a book deal. Mariana finding colleagues through their shared blueprints to go hiking in the Himalayas. It turns dreams into actionable plans and fosters connection.
It makes the goals visible and shared.
Yeah, it brings them to life.
Now, Lakhiani introduces this other concept here, which is, well, the term is pretty direct, being unfuckwithable.
Yeah, it's memorable. It means being truly at peace internally. So centered and self-assured that you're immune to external negativity or criticism. You just don't need validation from outside yourself.
That sounds like a superpower.
It kind of is. It's about cultivating this profound inner resilience. But it raises a question. If you don't need external validation, what drives you?
Good point. Where does the motivation come from?
This ties back to Marissa Peer's insight about, I am not enough. The paradox is, not believing you are enough actually paralyzes you with fear of failure or rejection. You don't take action.
Because you fear judgment.
Right. But truly believing I am enough deep down, that gives you the courage to act boldly, to apply for the dream job, ask for the raise, start the business. And if you fail, it doesn't crush you personally. It's just feedback. You know you're still enough, so you learn, adjust, and try again.
So I am enough is actually the fuel for action, not complacency.
Exactly. And Lakhiani shares that embarrassing story from when he was 14, trying to rap Ice Ice Baby.
Oh.
And getting shut down with, geez, what a nerd. He says that one comment shaped his self-worth for years. Being unfuckwettable means you get to a place where praise and criticism are just information. They're just someone else's expressions of their models of reality. They don't define you.
You decouple your worth from external opinions.
Precisely. And this connects to setting self-fueled end goals. These are goals that are largely within your own control, not dependent on other people's actions or approval.
Can you give an example?
Instead of to be in a loving relationship with Christina, which depends on Christina, a self-fueled version, is to be consistently surrounded by love, or to experience love and connection daily. You control the experience you cultivate, not the other person. This removes the fear of loss, because your fulfillment isn't tied to something outside you that can be taken away.
You focus on the internal state you can influence.
Yes. Even if he couldn't travel, he realized he could still have beautiful human experiences with a glass of wine and chocolate at home. It's about the internal quality.
So how do you cultivate this unfuckwithable state? He gives exercises, right?
Yeah, practical things like the self-love mirror exercise from Kamal Ravikant. Literally look in the mirror, smile at yourself, and say, I love you several times a day. Sounds simple, but it can be powerful.
Okay. What else?
Practice self-gratitude. In your daily gratitude list, include things you appreciate about yourself, your intellect, your kindness, how good you look that day. And third, becoming present. A quick fix for anxiety. When he felt overwhelmed by emails in a restaurant, he just focused intensely on the sights, sounds, smells of the present moment. It pulls you out of future worries.
Simple tools for building inner resilience.
Exactly.
Okay.
Finally, Lakhiani talks about 2 paths to growth, drawing on spiritual ideas and Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith's work, Kensho and Satori.
Kensho and Satori. Okay.
Kensho is growth through pain. It's the gradual, often tough learning that comes from life's challenges. Breakups, failures, losses. Beckwith says, behind every problem, there's a question trying to ask itself, a way of life trying to be born. Problems are signals, whispers from the universe saying, time to change course or time to evolve.
Learning the hard way, basically.
Often, yes. Then there's Satori, which is growth by awakening. These are the sudden aha moments, the breakthroughs, the insights that instantly shift your perspective and propel you forward.
Like sudden flashes of understanding.
Exactly. And both Kensho, the dips, and Satori, the spikes, contribute to our overall growth. That quality of life graph he shows, constantly moving us forward, hopefully upward over time.
So growth comes from both struggle and insight.
Yes. And this leads to a really interesting question about purpose, about your calling or quest. Does it choose you, or do you choose it?
What does he suggest?
He shares a story from meditation teacher Emily Fletcher about Michael Jackson insisting on having fireflies for a show, apparently saying, if you don't do it, Prince will.
Weird. What's the point?
It illustrates this idea that maybe inspiration, or a quest, is looking for someone to manifest it. And if you're not ready or willing, the idea will just move on to someone else. Elizabeth Gilbert calls it multiple discovery. Great ideas often pop up in different places around the same time.
Like the universe is seeding ideas.
Kind of, which leads to his empowering godical theory. It's a model of reality, suggesting that if there is some universal intelligence, God, universe, life force, whatever you call it, then we are all like godicles, little particles of it, inherently connected to everything.
Connected and capable of intuition.
Exactly. Capable of receiving insights, guidance, and happiness in this model isn't just nice to have, it's the fuel for that intuition. Stress shuts it down, happiness opens the channel. This perspective essentially makes you, in your own unique way, the chosen one for your specific quest.
Everyone has a unique potential connection and purpose.
That's the empowering model.
Which brings us to the final principle, Law 10. Embrace your quest. Extraordinary minds aren't just driven by a career, they're motivated by a quest, a calling, an inner drive to create positive change, to contribute something meaningful. That's where true fulfillment comes from.
Finding your why.
Finding your quest. And if you're sitting there thinking, I have no idea what my quest is, that's okay.
What's the advice then?
Take baby steps, just tiny intentional actions in a direction that feels interesting or meaningful. As Napoleon Hill said, these small steps signal your readiness to the universe. They open you up to feedback, reveal new paths, help your larger quest emerge. Even just registering a company name was a baby step for Lakhiani that started the ball rolling for Mind Valley.
Just start moving, however small.
Exactly. Action creates clarity. Hashtag tag outro.
Wow. Okay, that was quite a journey. We've really covered a lot today in this deep dive. From seeing through the illusions of the culturescape and its limiting rules, to learning how to actively hack life by upgrading our beliefs, our models of reality, and our habits, our systems for living.
We discovered Blisscipline, that art of living in present happiness while holding a clear vision for the future.
And we explored how to define truly meaningful end goals based on experiences, growth, and contribution, leading us to embrace our unique quest.
It really shifts the perspective, doesn't it? From just reacting to life, letting it happen to you.
To actively engineering it.
Right.
Designing it. It makes you ask that big question. What positive mark do I want to leave on the world?
Yeah.
That's a powerful driver.
So the invitation for you, listening, is that your journey to an extraordinary life. It can start right now. Remember those dips, the tough times? They're not failures. They're fuel for growth, for Kensho.
And your happiness. It's not a luxury to wait for. It's the rocket fuel for everything else.
Yeah.
Especially your intuition, which is your best guide.
So don't be afraid to question the norms, to be the misfit. Because often, the misfits are the ones who end up becoming the visionaries.
Exactly. So here's a final provocative thought to leave you with. What if your biggest fears, the things holding you back, are really just outdated Brules? Just old, inherited models of reality that don't serve you anymore? What incredible possibilities would open up if you truly dared to believe deep down that you are fundamentally unfuckwittable, that you are enough, and that you are, in fact, the chosen one for your own unique quest to make your dent in the universe.
The extraordinary mind. It's not some rare gift.
It's a choice that's entirely within your grasp.